say being a woman of color in the tech field, I have to make sure I show up. So I don't want to allow the opportunity for someone to assume how did I get here, and that people know that I'm deserving of where I am.
I think a lot of it too is being aware of it. It's like right away, it's so obvious. It's something that you can't hide. You have to work twice as hard, sometimes 3 times harder. And it's because people look at you and might make an assumption that they might not make by looking at somebody who looks more like them. Because there's that key, that relativeness. For example, somebody saying like, oh, you don't look how you sound. Well, how did I sound? Well, very proper and articulate and educated. And, oh, okay, so why can't a person of color automatically sound educated and proper? And so I think it's those stereotypes that people don't even realize that they're holding on to subconsciously.
What was really funny is when I worked at Microsoft, and before Link had pictures, I've worked remote for 8 years. And so they would just know the voice Martine. And the name Martine is Parisian because, I'm Haitian. We were enslaved by the French, so we have French names in Haiti. So I'd have all these conversations and I'd build these relationships with folks, and 2 years would go by and we'd meet in person. And you're like, hi. And they're like, hi, Martine. And they're like, you're Martine? And it would just always crack me up because it wasn't said, but it was very clear.
Yeah.
I don't have an ethnic sounding voice on the phone.
I think it's those stereotypes that people don't even realize that they're holding on to subconsciously, bringing it to the forefront.
Sometimes it's appropriate to address it head on, and I think sometimes you just kind of, you let the fact that you broke the stereotype stand in itself.
Yeah.
And move from there.
My best piece of advice that I received was don't be afraid to ask for what you want. Right? Never be afraid to ask what you want, because closed mouths don't get fed. No one's going to give it to you. So ask for what you want, even if it's a no, but at least you know, and you don't go through life saying what if.
I think another piece of advice that I was given that I took to heart, especially as being women, is it's okay to say I don't know. I think a lot of times as women we don't want to seem unprepared or not knowledgeable because there are other things that are already challenging us in the workforce. But getting back to like being authentic and just, we're human. And so it's one thing to say, I don't know, but I'm gonna find out. And then you do the research, it's okay. Like people still value that, and giving yourself, I guess, the space to not feel like you have to go into every interaction perfect.
One thing that I've noticed in my career is just making sure people get to know you. So it's like, yes, you've seen the facade, you see the outside, but get to know me, because the skills, the education, the hard work, the dedication, it's all there. And a lot of times it's, above par.